Hey family, it's Dr. Pyant, Mindset for Freedom. Good evening. How are you? Listen, I'm going to start with you by taking the breath because I always like for you and what I tell you to do, I do for myself to reset that vagus nerve, get your parasympathetic nervous system online so that you can receive what I'm sharing with you, so that you can hear it from not only your perception where you are now, but from your heart. Because sometimes when we are in a state of trauma, we don't shift too often into the prefrontal cortex part of our mind because we have fear. And remember, I told you earlier this morning that fear is false evidence appearing true. It is not. It appears to be real, but it is not. So let's take that breath through your nose, breathing through your nose. Let your belly expand. Hold it. Now release it. Tonight we're going to release it with ah. Yeah. Oh, that feels so good to me. Listen, I'm hot. I got to turn on my fan, so give me a second. I had my heat on, but because it was cool in here, but it got hot now. Hold on a second. Give me a minute there. I don't have one of those phones yet that follow you all around the place, but I just ordered one. I ordered one of those podcast things that follow you around. Yeah, but I don't have it yet, so I had to get up. Yeah, so tonight I wanted to talk to you, and I want you to focus on what I'm saying. You see, when we are in a relationship with ourselves or with others, there's specific parts of our mind that's driving. And tonight I want to ask you, which part of your mind drives when you're in a relationship? Is it your emotions or your thoughts? Is it your emotions, your feelings, or your thoughts? Remember, we connect emotions to feelings. I told you before in an earlier podcast that emotions and thoughts are different. Your emotions are your feelings that happen most of the time when you're wired correctly from your thoughts. And the reason why I say when you're wired correctly is because when you are in trauma, meaning that your hippocampus has got too much cortisol and your actions go immediately to the amygdala and you go into fight, flight, and freeze. Your boss fusses at you, you go right to fight, flight, or freeze. You come home and things are not done right, the dishes are in the sink, the food is not cooked, or the house is not clean, the amygdala gets triggered. That's the survival brain. You having a conversation with your husband and things are not going right, amygdala is being triggered. That's trauma survivors. You are trying to survive. That's why I said survivors. You are trying to survive the information and the energy that's coming at you because it always goes to a place of fear. It goes to a place of struggle. It goes to one of those limiting beliefs where you don't feel safe. So you can't lead in life with emotions if you are not wired for them to come out the way they're supposed to come out and not as you perceive them to come out based on your negative perception. Am I making sense? Because you can have a negative perception of something and that's why you're responding the way you respond. But there's nothing wrong with emotions because emotions and feelings are great. Listen, there are too many people that don't live from emotions and should live from emotions. You need to learn when your emotions need to be driving and when your rational thought mind needs to be leading. You understand what I'm saying? Because your emotions, that's your feelings, baby. And you need to feel your feelings, but you need to know when to let them go. Because your feelings don't allow you to be bottled up in your throat chakra. You need to acknowledge your feelings about what you recognize and validate. But if you have trauma, your perception can be off That's why it's so important for you to have therapy. It's so important for you to work on it. Because I tell you in the beginning, trauma is drama. You cannot live your best life, baby, when you got trauma. Okay? Trauma is drama. All right? So when you're living from your thoughts and you are in a trauma situation, what happens? Because you really want to rationalize, but you tend to over rationalize. Instead of living from your heart, you over rationalize and overthinking situations. And that is not how you want to live your life in a relationship. You want to be able to live your life in a relationship where there's a balance, where you're living with your emotions, when it's time for you to feel and you to express yourself. Because you can't stay bottled up. You have to express your feelings, but you cannot get triggered. You need to understand when you have trauma that you are prone to being triggered. Little things will trigger you. Words trigger you. Situations trigger you. And memories trigger you back to your past. All right? And nobody is going to want to be around you for too long. You don't even want to be around you for too long living like that, because you're bringing nothing but drama to the relationship. And in this world, we live in relationships. We're always in relationships with ourselves or with somebody else. So I always want you to live your best life. I hope that Chesswall went and invited people on, because she knows that I can't invite them. I see a few people are coming online, but I know that there's others that try to watch at 6:30, and sometimes people forget. You need to, give yourself a notification so that we don't forget. But invite people on so that they can hear. We're not going to be on long. Just want to share with you, as I was thinking today, we really need to look at how we are showing up. Because if you have trauma and you're showing up with your emotions, you're showing up with judgment. The way for you to work with that is to help yourself, is to become an active listener. When somebody is throwing off or saying something that you just don't agree with, for whatever reason, be quiet. Okay? Be an active listener. Okay? Don't try to solve somebody else's problem. Just listen to what the person is trying to say. That's why people who go to therapy, they do much better, because they know their therapist is listening to them. And they get a chance to share and feel their feelings in a safe space. But some people are so bottled up with emotional trauma, and you're in denial. And I'm just saying. So you share this video with somebody. People that are following me, most of you have worked on your drama and your traumas, of your past. You're working on your mindset. You're working on your emotions. Yes. But there are some people, some of our family, that are not doing it. And therefore, they're living from their emotions, and they're living from their perception of what they perceive another to say. But you don't have to live that way. You can live your best life, but you have to practice mindfulness, and you have to practice encouraging yourself. I was telling you today, I think it was today, that either I was meditating with it, but those limiting beliefs that we have, you didn't create them. Those limiting beliefs that we have, they were created for you. Meaning, they were created by your environment, or they were created from a DNA transference. But nevertheless, you need to acknowledge that you have some limiting beliefs about yourself. Sometimes you might think that you have limiting beliefs of, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. Limiting beliefs, especially with people of color that have struggled financially. The limiting belief of lack. Are you in survival mode? When you are in these modes in your mindset, it triggers the amygdala, because you don't feel safe. You don't feel your power. And Jesus said that when the Holy Spirit has come upon you, you shall have power. What did you think that power was? It's power to understand yourself. It's power to understand life. It's power to reset your mind. It's power to know when to speak and when not to speak. That's the power that we're supposed to have. Not the power just to jump and shout. Not the Pentecostal power, but the power to understand who you are and what you are. The power to understand that when you need help, reach out to somebody. The power to keep yourself around positive people, people that are awake. Do you know that some people are just sleeping? They're not awake, baby. And so no matter what you say, they can't hear you, or they don't want to hear you because they haven't woke up yet. But I want you that are listening to this tonight, I want you to share it with somebody, and I want you to see if it resonates with you. You don't have to be hijacked by your emotions. You don't have to be hijacked by always living from the lower version of yourself, from the amygdala version. We can change because change always comes in our life. But you need to You need to identify those negative thought patterns. Because unless you identify them, you can't neutralize them. You need to identify them because these thoughts that are coming to you, and when you are in a battle or you're in a conversation with somebody and one of those negative thoughts come up or you get triggered, ask yourself, is this based on facts or assumptions that I'm saying this or that I'm feeling this way? Is this a fact that they're talking loud, or is this an assumption that they're talking loud? Because for you, they might not be talking loud. To them, they might just be excited. But because of your trigger, because you've been yelled at when you was a kid, anybody talking loud, your assumption is they're being rude or they're talking loud. You understand what I'm saying? Our assumptions and our past and our life, our experiences, they shape how you think. So when you are thinking from your emotions, in order for you to have healthy emotions, you have got to have a balance. And I wrote down some things about a balance that I just want to share with you very quickly, because I said I wasn't going to be on too long tonight, but I appreciate you coming on and encouraging me to keep going, because I know somebody's listening. And even if they don't listen tonight, this will run and they'll be able to pick it up. But don't have any fear of being vulnerable. When you have these things, you have to understand what emotional trauma looks like. You have a fear of being open. You fear being vulnerable. You don't want to speak your truth. You're always judging somebody. Your response and your triggers cause you to be reactive instead of proactive. These emotional responses, these small triggers, cause you to have big emotional responses. And you don't want to have big emotional responses. You want to live your best life. You want to live a life where you are living from your prefrontal cortex and where your subconscious mind that is always on board is pre-programmed to feed us the right information, to tell you it's okay to relax. But you have got to practice relaxing, because how is the subconscious mind going to know how to help you to relax if you don't practice? That's why I tell you to breathe. That's why I tell you to do meditations, because now your subconscious mind, when it's time for you to meditate, or when you're in a sticky situation, or you're in a situation where you need to pull back, as soon as you take that breath, the subconscious mind is going to trigger the parasympathetic nervous system, and it's going to bring you peace. It's going to put you in that peaceful state. So that's our job. That's why you got to look at, am I using my thoughts to navigate this journey, or am I using my emotions? Because you don't always have to fight. You can just love. You can just be still, because change always comes. And that too, that is going to pass. Trust me. I've been in so many situations and I've seen God. I've seen God show up. And it passes. But we tend to think, when we are in trauma, or when we don't have our faith, or when we're not practicing the presence of God, we tend to think that this is it, that we're stuck. Let it go. Remember, you are the observer of your thoughts. Let them come and let them go. When something comes and you don't want to deal with it, you don't have to. You let it come and let it go. And you can say, I'm not dealing with that. Take that breath. I'm going to stay in peace. I'm going to stay in love. I'm going to stay in joy. And you will, and you can. And your subconscious mind will be trained that whenever you have something negative in your life that comes up, you can switch off. You can press the button. You can press the pause button. I like to press these, that your index finger. That's my pause button. You need to have a pause button. I want to give this to you, and then I'm going to let you go and have your dinner or do whatever you have to do. But this right now, this is a nugget. You got to have something sometimes that you can physically do to reset yourself. That index finger with your thumb, press it and tell yourself, when I press this, I'm going into peace. When I press this, I'm going into love. When I press this, I feel joy. When I press this, peace, love, joy, I am safe. Now, your pointer is your letting go finger. Take your thumb and put it to your pointer. Now, I want you to imagine a balloon. And I want you to fill that balloon with everything negative that you need to release. When things come, I want you to get a balloon in your mind, use your imagination, put everything negative in that balloon, and hold that string on that balloon. Put it all in there. Just pump it up. Use the pump. Put it in there. Put it in there. Fear, doubt, aggravation, whatever negative thoughts are coming, put it in the balloon. And then I want you to squeeze the pointer to your thumb. And I want you to let it go. Let that balloon with all of that negativity, let it go. And go back to peace, love, joy. All of my needs are met. God is a presence in my life where he's never absent. Every day, remember, notice that I'm pressing. Every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. And you will. And you will, because we are. Thank you for listening. I hope that helped you, and I hope it's helping somebody. Use your fingers. Use your triggers. This is your letting go. Let it go. This is your reset. Reset yourself. You control your life. You are steering. You are steering how your life is going to be. No one else. You take control of your life. When your emotions are off balance, you take control of your life. When you need to bring that logical, rational thinking, you take control of your life. When you need to be an active listener, be quiet and be still. And when you're still, put yourself in the presence of God and say, I know God loves me. I am loved and I am ready to be loved. Be still. Thank you so much. Good night. That's a pearl for you. We're making a necklace. We will be able to speak our truth all the time. Thanks for listening. Like and share this video. We will put it on YouTube so that others may be able to get what you received tonight. Shalom.